My name is Justin Harris. This is Monday Musings, June 29th, 2026. Let's get started. We're going to talk about how summer miles make for fall smiles. All right. It's something I heard since I was in middle school or high school. And it's something my coach said all the time. You put in the volume, you put in the mileage, you're going to be a happy camper come the fall. And I was talking with a former client a long time ago because in the summer it's super hot in a lot of places. And I I was trying to like brainstorm this, something about sweating or whatever. And I'll give her credit. B said, summer swamp ass equals fall badass. And I really like that. Regardless, we're going to talk about how putting in the work now and how that manifests all the challenges and whatnot in summer training, what the turnout is going to be, the result in the fall. Okay. But before I get into that, if you haven't signed up for my newsletter progression, I talk about the art of training. It's a 5-minute read, comes out on the 1st and 15th of every month. I think I've missed it a couple times, but you get 20 plus years of experience of me competing as a Division I athlete, professional athlete, coaching from high school to Olympic medalists in speed and power sports and endurance sports. So a wide range of topics. And what I talk about in it is everything from case studies to, trying to get people to change their behavior in order to be successful in endurance sports. And it's not easy. All right. So if you haven't, go into the bio, go to my website, jharriscoaching.fit. Okay. So summer miles equals fall smiles, or makes for fall smiles. Okay. This week in the Northeast, it's going to be like record temps, something like, I don't know, it's going to be like 100 degrees for a bunch of days. All right. Now, my folks in DC and Florida and Texas and Arizona, you guys are used to this stuff. All right. And you can be like, wah, sucks for you guys, right? Welcome to our weather. However, across the board, when we have weather that kind of comes into play like this, it could be really challenging. This is why I ask you to not use your pace for running or your power for cycling as markers of your identity, whether you're fast or not. Because the conditions in the summer really put a wet blanket on your performance, all right, and on your ability to perform and show your fitness, all right. And I heard this podcast. It was what was his name? Jakob Ingebrigtsen from Norway. He was talking about if you're growing carrots, or let's just say potatoes or beets, you can't keep picking them to check them, all right. And because the weather has such an influence, all right, heat and humidity, when the temperature and the dew point in Fahrenheit, it says percent humidity, but underneath that in the apps, it says like dew point and temperature. If those two equal over 100, it's starting to influence your performance. All right. For a runner, it could be up to 45 seconds a mile. All right. So if you run 10-minute pace, normally on a super hot and humid day, it could be 10:45 pace. If you're actually running that, is the same feel as 10-minute pace in the fall or the spring. Okay. And the issue that comes up for a lot of people is they start running slower and they're frustrated. So what do? They just say, hey, this is the pace I run. Well, if you run that pace, but it's more intense, you're increasing the intensity. So your heart rate's going, you're sweaty, you can't talk all of a sudden. That's not bueno. All right. And you're not going to get the performance gains that you really want because you're going to be spending over budget every day. Every day you're going out in the heat, in the humidity. You're spending over your budget because you're focusing on your pace. My recommendation is to focus on your feel and your heart rate and make it feel the same, okay, or run the same heart rates. Now, the heat is going to slow you down, but it's okay. All right. Now, if you're doing faster stuff, run the pace, but be careful. Okay. So the way it shows up, like say, like for instance, like if I go to Maine or something and it's cooler out, right? All of a sudden, I'm running 30 seconds a mile faster. Now, is that my fitness changed like that? Or was it just the heat was hiding your fitness? It's the latter. Okay. So if it's that, all we need is a cool weather day, or it's like it goes from like 80 degrees in the morning to like 65, right? All of a sudden you feel amazing, right? That means your fitness is there all the time. It's just like growing those carrots. They're growing, it's gaining. All right. The worst thing you can do is be forcing the training when it's really hot, because right now, like we're in all the major marathons are 16 weeks out or less, except for New York is July 13th. So it's coming up. So Berlin people are rocking and rolling. You know, Chicago's going. Sydney's really into their training build. And New York starts in 2 weeks. And so training is really picking up. My people doing Grand Fondos, you know, getting ready for Hincapie in the fall, right? Like you got to put in the work. You just can't be over budget now, because if you're over budget now, you're going to have no money in the bank when you need to do the bigger stuff and then ready to perform. You're going to be over budget. That's when we get hurt. That's when we get sick. That's when we get burnt out and not motivated. So at the end of the day, put in the mileage, put in the volume, listen to your body, make sure you're spending on budget. What does that look like? You're excited to train. You're tired, but you're not exhausted. When you go out for a long run or a long ride, you come home, you can still function for the rest of the day. If that's not the case, you overdid it with effort or intensity or both. Well, effort and intensity is the same thing. Okay. So, with all that said, put in the work, listen to your body. I have a heat pace calculator for runners. I have it for cyclists. I don't know how accurate it is, but for the runners, it's I find it to be a good starting point to see what you're running. All right. And it's on my website, jharriscoaching.fit. And then if you look at the hamburger menu, it's under heat adjusted pace calculator. Okay. So I'm curious who likes training in the heat. I'm wondering if anyone is doing things or have done things to prep to train in the heat. What are your strategies when it's hot out, like when it's going to be record heat? Do you shift your whole schedule around? And I have opinions on that. Do you just skip it if it's too hot? Do you switch modalities? Do you go inside on the trainer or to the gym? What do you guys do? So, all right, crew, what's up? What's up, Brittany? What's up, Nicole? Smith? What's up, Cameron Smith? Two Cameron Smiths. What's up, Neil? What's up, Jillian? What's up, Cam? What's up, Maggie? What's up, Rocio? I owe you a response. Hi, Mel. Pierce. Cole. Cole, how's your training going? Allison. So summer miles equal fall smiles. Summer swamp ass equals fall badass. I love that phrase. Ernesto. Just got done with a good group ride. And they're not on here yet. But this past weekend was my birthday. And I was down at the Peloton Studios. We had a Team Wilpers event, happened to coincide with my birthday. Had a few clients in town, which was awesome for the Team Wilpers event. Did a 2-hour ride, and they made all these shirts of me, which was, I think I'm famous now. What's up, Brittany? Oh, thank you. What's up, Callan? So a lot of good planners. They did a great job. I got a bunch of bottles of wine, which I'm very happy with. So I'm starting with a little Chablis, because I said Chalabis last time. So as a joke, he might come on later. I'll let him know. So we're starting with a white. After a hard ride, it's more of a white. Smells good. Can't wait to taste it. Never tasted before. But first, I got my recovery drink. For a little extra protein. So we're talking about training in the summer, training in the heat, training in humidity. What's up, Justin? So I'm curious how you guys approach training in the heat. Where do you live? What do you deal with? Because when I lived in Hawaii, coming from Southern New York, it was a whole different ballgame. At first, I woke up at 5:30 and train. I was dripping sweat within like 5 minutes. Then it was like 5, then 4. And I just realized like it's just humid all night long. So I would wake up at 4, out the door 4:30. I was running about 60 miles a week. I was doing some Arthur Lydiard training, trying to do some a little bit higher volume and reading his books and stuff. And yeah, I would run for like an hour to 2 hours, and then it gave me enough time to like stop sweating, take a shower, and go to work. What's up, Kelly? And dealing with the humidity was like on the next level. I felt like I was at altitude, like lower altitude, like maybe 3,000 feet, where it's just a change. So, oh, Jillian, multitasking like a mom, like a good mom, right? Doing my run now on the tread while listening to you. Awesome. Yeah. Humidity is a killer here in the summer. Yeah, I never understood, like I never thought the Midwest, like I was really surprised to find out how humid it is. Early morning for me, still sweat and hot, but as manageable as I can be. Yeah. So I'll do a couple things. One, I'm not, you know, I'm a triathlete at heart and I mix up things depending on when the weather is advantageous. So if it's super hot, and I'm not training for anything in particular. So I'm training, but I wouldn't say maybe I would say I'm exercising, right? And so I'll shift from a run to a bike, or sometimes I'll go do an open water swim. My wife will paddle around on the paddleboard, and I'll go for a swim and then lay on the paddleboard. So I just like shift with it a little bit. Now, again, if I had a race and my clients coaching, there's a little bit different thing, but it options do exist. So some of my clients this week, I'm like talking to them, I'm putting notes like, hey, if we need to, shift one or two things, let me know. Make sure you're getting out earlier. What's up, Carly? What's up, Karen? We're talking about summer miles equals fall smiles. So training in the heat, which Carly knows a lot about, down in St. Pete, Florida, and humidity. So like, how do we adjust around it and whatnot? But knowing that your fitness is kind of hiding in the heat and humidity, right? So from here on out, you know, it it might not show in training that well. Things might be a little more challenging. Okay. It's okay. Feels like 114. What's up, Matt? Yeah, when I remember being in Phoenix in the summer in June, and it was like 105, 106. And a dry heat, it definitely is different. All right. It's still it's the difference of like if you feel like you're in a steam room versus a sauna. It's still hot. Chablis right here. Got a little Chablis, or Chalabis, as I called it last time. Yeah, it's a dry heat. I mean, it is. But I felt like I was in an oven versus a steam room. That was the difference. And the other things, like when I was in Tucson with the dry air, like the sweat, like my calibration for me being in a place that's hot and humid is like it's just like sweat. Like how much sweat's dripping off me is like how much I have to drink. Like I have other strategies, but still, I was really focusing on that, which wasn't a great thing because when I was in Arizona, I'm like, I'm not sweating that much, and then I got to like a mobile on the run, like a gas station, convenience store, little thing, and we all were fried, and I looked like, and we were all just caked in salt everywhere. So yes, Kelly, ching ching. We had such a good time at the Team Opers event. Kelly, Jillian, Callan, I appreciate you guys. It was super awesome. Made me feel loved. Really. It was very touching. I appreciate it all. I appreciate it all. So, yeah, so we're talking about how you deal with training in the summer. And yeah, questions that pop up for you guys about training in the heat, racing in the heat, but really we're talking about training. How do you go about it? How do you deal with it? Because today when we started our ride, it was 88 degrees. And so instead of having like an A ride, like a really hard ride, and a B ride, we kind of did A minus B plus ride. We kept everyone together. We had, rode hard in a couple sections, but we kept it right there. Treadmill. Yeah, that's certainly in that heat, it's treadmill. I've had a couple people in Florida. They'll wake up and like I have one lady that I used to coach who would every day is 3:30 a.m. It's just her schedule. Get up, train before the kids wake up. Get out as early as possible for long runs. Plan in more water stops. Yep. Yeah, getting out early is the best thing you can do. Or, going back on the treadmill. A lot of you guys like don't mind the treadmill. For me, I mean, I do use it now, like at the gym, like I'll warm up a mile and then go lift, or I'll ride and run a little bit. What's up, Maddie? We're talking about training in the summer, how, particularly in running, cycling, it happens like you can get really overheated and it kind of builds on you because you're riding for much longer and you're out on the roads in the sun. So, like when I'm riding outside in the summer, like the other day, it was like super hot. And actually, the week prior, I had like a little weird heat thing. Like I'm on doxycycline, so I overdressed to like stay at, like not burn, which I don't burn on doxy that bad. But my wife really insisted with her master's in nursing that I should cover up. And I was out. We did a 5-hour ride, and I got really toasty, and it was weird. But so the following week, we just chose to stay on the rail trails that covered by trees, and it was still warm. However, when we got out on the road, it was like, oh my God, like we're getting back on the rail trail. So picking your route is also helpful too. I think that's a good thing in cycling. A couple of my friends raced this past weekend, and one guy couldn't come out to the ride because he was like, I have such a hangover headache, like definitely dehydrated, and really overextended himself, which happens in racing. So you have to be careful. Most of us aren't going to push it that far, but so yeah. Curious what questions pop up for you guys. This is a good opportunity. I'm going to enjoy my Chablis. Chablis. It's really interesting. I first like to taste it. I'm not really a snobby schnobsters here, but I do like trying to get to know it. Hmm. That is interesting. Well, hello, Adam. Cheers. Got a little Chablis. First time having it. That is interesting. I think I like it a lot. I can't figure out what notes. Oh, there he is. The man, the myth who got me it. Roberto. I was hoping you'd come on. The Chalabis. The Chablis. So I don't know if I said this last one of the times, but when my wife and I first started like going to wine tastings up in the Finger Lakes, uh, one of the wines we tasted was a Gewürztraminer, and we could not remember what it was because it's like Gruner Veltliner and Gewürztraminer. So my wife's like just called it Gwyneth Paltrow. She's really funny with some nicknames. She's like, grab the Gwyneth Paltrow, and I knew exactly what she meant. I was like, hey, if we're actually gonna like drink some wine or whatever, like maybe we should know the accurate name, because if we walk into a wine place and ask for a Gwyneth Paltrow, they're not gonna know what the hell we're talking about. So we joke around. So we like calling it funny names. Rob, I really like it. It's definitely different than some other things I've had. I don't know what I'm tasting though. That's always the thing. At least I'm not gonna say it here. Chablis wine notes. So curious to what you guys are. Yeah, how do you deal with training in the heat? You know, what are you struggling with? Running, cycling, triathlon. We're really talking about training. What things do you struggle with when it comes to mentally training in the heat? You know, a lot of people are in marathon builds right now, cranking. Um, so yeah, what's going on? Talk to me, peeps. Colin, I was reading about the North American Beer Mile Classic Elite Field is sub 5 minute mile. Holy yeah, right. So in college, I never did, we did a beer mile at the end of the year. That's pretty common. Good way to beat the heat. Oh my God. I think I would die in the heat drinking beer and running fast. But from triathlon, I can throw down some beers and run. Most people, the carbonation like messes them up. In COVID, friends of mine, like my college teammates and stuff, we put together like a challenge, like remotely. And like one was like we had to run a loop, and it could be any loop. And then you had to like guess the time for the second time, and whoever was the closest one. And so we all did it in different places. Then we did a 5K all out, which was the first time I ran hard in like a decade. And it's the first time my wife saw me like really push myself, because I wasn't training when I met her early on, for most of our relationship, actually. I'm not a puker, but I was like, I felt awful. And she's like, why do you do this to your body? But the last one was a beer mile, and I actually won it. I ran 8:23 with drinking beer. What's up, crew? What's up, Jafet? How's it going, man? How you been? Talking about training in the heat. What do you struggle with? You know, the big mentalities around it. But yeah, no, sub 5. Yeah, you're drinking beer fast, fast for sure. For sure. Can't start early enough to beat the Heat this week, so I'll just do the best I can. Yeah, this week is going to be really, really tough. Yeah, this week's going to be super tough. I love the option of having a treadmill. I asked you about running slow outside versus running fast on a treadmill. Yeah, we talked about this a little bit this weekend, just a kind of a side conversation. Some people feel like they run faster on a treadmill. Most people feel like they run slower, and I would agree. Uh, there's benefits to the treadmill in the sense that you don't have to really project your body forward, so you can focus on, like, I ask people to, like, kind of focus on turnover, and when I run on it, instead of like pushing like down into the ground and like driving through, I kind of just really more focus like a bike, like cycling my legs through, and it's a definitely a lot less pounding on the body. But trying to get outside is definitely super helpful as well, because that's the real, that's the real deal, Holyfield. So sometimes it can feel challenging if you spend a lot of time on the treadmill to like come back out and run outside on the roads. Uh, but I've have some people who solely train on the treadmill because that's when they have to do it, and that's the only way they can be consistent. So yeah, there's different strokes for different folks. So yeah, I'm uh I'm really liking this wine, Rob. Might be a new jam of mine. Trying to see what the notes are. Green and mineral. I definitely taste the mineral. Oh, here we go. Let's see. What did they say? Dry, crisp, mineral, German, delicious. Yep. I think it's one of my jams. I love mineral stuff. Come on. We can talk wine. We can talk training. So, what races are popping up for you guys? What are you curious about? What are you wondering? Even my clients, we don't always get to talking about everything. I'm going to hang out for like another 5 minutes, answer whatever questions. And that's like when Christy comes on or someone, and we're ripping. But yeah, curious to how we deal with the heat, anything we struggle with, any random questions. How much did we have to pay Matt to wear my happy birthday shirt? I was so surprised. I was so surprised. What's up, Carolyn? Definitely like a little green apple. Yeah. Ah, this is why I like it. Stainless steel, no oak. I like a little oak sometimes. Like it. Thanks, guys. What am I doing here? Okay, cool. So back to you guys. Anyone on YouTube or Instagram? Hello. Whoever's watching on YouTube, what's going on? How you doing? Comment. Ask a question. No, I know. Matt's a good sport. I was surprised when he was wearing the shirt. Super surprised. Jillian had some FOMO missing yesterday's run. Yeah, it was nice. It was definitely humid. That's for sure. We were all dripping sweat. I think worse in the studio the previous day, but it was nice. It was nice to have some time. With running, a cycling class, there's not much, no talking, but for a run, like, you can get to know people, and it's really nice. It's really enjoyable. So, but it was so nice of you to come, Jillian. I really appreciate it. So anyone new here, don't be afraid to chime in, say hello, ask any questions. It's a super open forum. You can ask questions about me. You can ask questions about my coaching. You can ask questions about training. You can ask anything. What's my favorite wine? Might be this. Guys, I'm getting tired. I'm getting tired of this hair. I might be buzzing it. It's a little too hot for me. It's getting hot. It's getting wild. It's getting curly. I haven't had a buzz head since college. I think it might be in time for one. Mustache and buzz head. My dad always says when I have a buzz head, I look like a prisoner, like I'm coming from jail. Who's watching on YouTube? Say hello. Curious. Doesn't ever tell me who is. Let's see who's there. Nicole, how you doing? How's things going with you? Neil, what's up with you? How you doing? Carolyn, how you been? Kind of giving off squeaky tank parade energy tonight. Oh yeah. Yeah, it's okay. Yeah. Well, we can't always be, rambunctious and chatty. So some of these can always be a little bit shorter. It's for me to get my ideas out in the beginning and have a glass of wine and enjoy some company. Nicole, remind me what you're training for again? What's coming up for you? And Neil, what are you training for, exercising for? What's on your agenda? How about you, Carolyn? And it's one of these things. I ask the question, and as soon as you say, I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. And I actually do remember, but not off the top of my head. But yeah, a lot of love this weekend. Super appreciative. A lot of driving. A lot of driving as well. So oh, that's right. Yes. Oh yeah, yep, I remember. 2027 New York City Marathon. That'll be a good one. You have some time to progress, get moving from there. And last night we had a pool party. So me and my sister are a day apart, except 6 years. Mariana, look how efficient. .co. Oh man, business, business time, business lady. Here we come. Hello. Yeah, so we were talking about training in the heat. It was a little muggy this weekend, and it's going to be hot. They said, yeah, it's going to be like record. Oh, your second last name. Is it really? I know. I remember my host family had two last names, which I really like the. I mean, in Spain, I like the concept. I think it's the same in Mexico, right? It's like you take your husband's last name and you keep your hyphen maiden name. So then when you have kids, those are their name, and it just like the lineage gets passed a little bit more. It seems, but yeah, I'm enjoying a chablis. Nice. That sound fancy when you say that. Drank Matt's rosé yesterday, but yeah, we had a. Oh yeah. Okay, cool. Nice. Yeah, I'm always seeing you post about your parents and your mom running around. Get it from your mama. Yeah, it gets tough. So we were talking about how summer training in the summer really, like, the conditions really hide your fitness, right? So like you can be, stacking bricks or chopping wood and carry water, like, gaining fitness, but it doesn't really show until you get a cool weather day. So like it's going to be at 80s in the morning, low 80s, high 70s, or excuse me, I think in the 70s in the morning, right? And so when it like drops down to like, 50, high 60s, or you go to like somewhere where it's cooler, right? Maine or something. All of a sudden you're like, oh, I feel amazing. Well, you've been gaining fitness. It just doesn't show, right? And so like we've been in this game for a long time, and it still can be really challenging to deal with. Again, I think it's harder when your identity is around what pace you're on, right? And we get too caught up in this too many times. Like, well, oh, I run this pace, or this is my easy run pace. This is what I run aerobic run pace. We had this a lot. I had this a lot in college. Like my friends would not run slower than 7-minute pace. Now, we didn't even have GPS watches there, but we were actually, I think, pretty close. So we would like map it off with a car or whatever. And that was the big discussion. It was like the discussion after a run was like all like, okay, like we ran this time, and we would do the math really fast. And we're like, oh, we averaged about this pace. And some guys were like we would agree on what pace we were running, and then it would be the discussion. It would be like, how many miles did we get? And some guys were like, no, we were running faster than 7-minute pace, so that was like 8.5 miles. Or it's like, no, 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 we weren't running that. And that was like the debate for like an hour to 2 hours after practice. Like we'd go to dinner and we'd still be debating. I'd just be like, whatever, I'm calling it 8. And so in Wisconsin, University of Wisconsin, they called them Badger miles. So it didn't matter how fast or slow you ran, it was 7-minute pace. And it just made it quite easier. So Allie, I ran in Maine Saturday. It was so nice in the morning for running before it heated up to 80. Yeah. Last time I was in Maine, it was like 95 degrees. I'm like, what the fuck? I didn't come to Maine for fucking 95-degree weather. Fortunately, though, my friend has like a lake that we could swim in, and the water was cold. So, oh, here goes Christy. Christy's here. I literally said I'm going to talk for 5 more minutes, and I bet you Christy comes on and livens up the group. Oh, Mariana, you never have to be sorry for anything. This is all just open conversations. So, but you mentioned dew point. Can you explain how that affects? What's up? You got a glass of wine? All right. So when I had athletes in outside Dallas, all over Florida, all over the place. What's up, Eva? Uh, and I was just like looking at like, they were like, I ran, their heart rates are high and all this, and right, and we're going on. Uh, yeah, right. Attached at the hip, instead of open carry with a pistol, it's a little. What's up, Adam? So back to dew point, right? So I was like just looking at stuff, and I used to write things on pace, and then I moved to heart rate more so I can kind of keep people on budget. And they were getting really frustrated, rightfully so. I get it. I understand. I'm not naive. But I found a piece of research that basically had a chart, and it was like heat and dew point. And I took that chart and I basically created a calculator with it. And the idea is um, that if temperature and dew point, which if you look on like, Apple phone, you look at the dew, like the humidity, just under it, it'll say the dew point, right? And that's at the point at which it's no longer evaporating off you, or the opposite, right? Like sweat or water evaporates. Yeah, I did write a one. I'm going to be honest. Like I forget what I write about. I have it in a spreadsheet. I mean, I know I've talked about it, but I know I've also talked about things a bunch of times, so maybe I can find it. But the whole idea is when temperature and dew point go over 100. So if it's 60 degrees and 60 degrees outside Fahrenheit and 40 degrees dew point, which is quite rare, you're fine. 50-50, whatever, 100. As soon as it goes to 101, it's starting to influence you. And there's like certain bandwidths where it affects you by 0.5%, then 1%, then 2%, then 3%, then 4%, then 8%. And essentially it could be like, if it's a certain, well, I'll just put it in. Here, let's find it. Jay Harris. It's on my website. Actually, I'm going to put it in so you guys can just mess around with it. Where is it? Heat adjusted pace calculator. All right, so I popped it in. So you can play around with it. So I'm just going to like say 8-minute pace. Okay, so minutes, seconds, minute per mile. I set it up for my kilometer people. So if I can't look on my phone right now, but let's go to weather.com. Let's just say right now. Okay, where's the weather? Poughkeepsie. All right, 74 degrees. Well, actually tell me feels like when. Dew point, 59 degrees. So it's 74 and 59 dew points. All right. So if I want to run 8-minute pace, that's my norm, and I was going to go run outside right now, I would have to adjust it by 3%. All right. And that means I would be running 8:14 pace. So if I were running 8:14 pace in this weather, it'd be like if I was running 8-minute pace when it was cooler out. That's the key thing. Okay. All right. So if I were to run 10-minute pace, right, it's still 3%, but since we're running a little bit slower, that's 10:18 pace. All right. So like today was like 88 degrees and like we'll say 75, 65 dew point. Okay, now we got to adjust that if we're running 10-minute pace. If we're trying to run 10-minute pace, you should really run 10:36 pace because you have to adjust it by 6%. So the heat used to be my nemesis. So I'm 6 foot, 180 pounds. I was 160 pounds back in the day. All right. And when I was racing against people who were like 135, right? And so for me, like, the taller you are, the more bigger you are, the more skin you have, the more you have to cool off, like the more you have to cool off. So it's harder, right? So when I lived in Hawaii, it was like I would get headaches. I was drinking tons of water, electrolytes, and I was just not used to the heat there. It's like sweating so much. 3 years ago, I started going to the gym and I started getting in the sauna. And ever since I got in the sauna, I go for like 15 to 20 minutes, once to 3 times a week in the winter, and a little bit less now, but I go like once a week. Anytime I'm at the gym, I finish off there. What's up, Judith? And so it's made me like acclimate better. Elite athletes are doing like heat training, right? So they'll go do their workout and then they'll like experience some heat and then like go do it easier a bit, or they'll finish off with heat or something like that. I have a friend who's like doing real heat training and he's like, dude, 80 degrees feels like I'm like cold. All right. So there are ways to like go about it, and they're finding that heat training like is allowing you to hold on, like when the athletes go to altitude training, like they can hold on to that gain by doing extreme heat training. Now, I don't advise this. All right. This is not medical advice, but you have to be careful. All right. But instead of staying 5 weeks at altitude camp, which is very isolated, very boring, you're away from loved ones, it's very hard on the professional athlete. You could do a 3-week camp and then spend 2 weeks doing heat training. And it's not acclimating. You're like full blown, like, Breaking Bad suits and whatnot. So anyway, so I don't know if I explained it clearly, but heat and dew point are influencing you. It has something to do with like blood volume, and it's just going to end up slowing you down. So my biggest thing, instead of focusing on like the exact mechanics, it's like we know it slows you down. It's like by how much. Now, I know for Tokyo, they were doing a lot of research like 8 years in advance of Tokyo, because Tokyo was the hottest Olympics on to date. And so for the endurance athletes, they were taking pills that would read out their internal temperature so they can figure out how to train a little bit better. So, it's just like F1 racing, like the top things happen in F1 and that trickles down to your car. All right. Same thing. What happens at the Olympics, like eventually some of this stuff trickles down. And if we're seeing it now, like people talking about it, like it's been happening for over a decade, I can promise you. All right. So I hope I answered that, Mariana. And you guys can play around with it. So for instance, like if I have someone doing VO2 max, I'm not really going to adjust the pace for them on a hot day. Like go and do it. But if you need a little extra rest, go for it. And if you need to cut an interval too, because I want to keep the velocity up in VO2 max. I focus more on the like V velocity of VO2 max, the VVO2. All right. And so that's something to, like that's just a little different for me. So I'd rather keep it a quality. When we're going to like steady state runs, like tempo runs, like continuous work, I will tell people like, hey, make some adjustments, right? Like if I'm asking you to run, 8-minute pace for 25 minutes or 30-minute paces, and it's going to be like hot out, like adjust your pace by, whatever the calculator says. Like just look at it the day before, look at what the heat and humidity was in the morning while you were running, and then just plug that in the calculator and have an idea. So if I'm asking you to run 8-minute pace and it says at that temperature you should be running 8:18, don't go run 8-minute pace, because the 8-minute pace is really going to be like you're running 7:45 effort. So instead, start slower, work your way up to 8:15, and that'll give the same kind of feel. Yes, thank you. I was going to ask for long runs mostly, or do you also adjust with quality workouts? Yep. Yeah. Yeah. I'm always like starting on the slower side and working into things. All right. And so if if you're training in the middle of the day, it can be really challenging. I think you have to do that sometimes. I see that. If you can get out earlier, if that's better, it'll help keep the quality there. But there's two parts to training. I mean, there's many parts, but you have like the velocity side of things. How fast are you going? Right. And then you have the effort side of things. All right. Because like I can put out a lot of effort and I'm going uphill and I'm at altitude and it's hot out and it's windy, like all these variables, right? Then my velocity is going to be low. It's going to be slow. Right. But I'm getting in the effort, and the effort costs something. It costs calories, energy, right? Conversion. So it costs something. All right. So there's times where when it starts getting hot out, I'm like, just get the effort in, right? And as long as we're getting the effort in, then we're kind of checking a lot of boxes. And then there's places where I'm like, okay, there's times and situations where I'm like, we have to get the velocity. So for instance, on long runs, if you're doing a flat long run or just a hilly run and you're just trying to get some things going, like just like getting time on feet, right? A flat long run, like I'm going to be a little progressive, right? But not a lot, just a little bit. Start super slow, ease into normal pace, and then just a little tiny little bit at the end. If it's hot, maybe I don't pick it up. That's fine, right? For a hilly long run, I'm just like trying to get elevation. I'm just chugga chewing up, trying to keep my heart rate down best I can, right? Great. Time on feet. I'm out there a little longer because I'm running slower. When we come to goal pace runs, all right, where we're doing chunks, like we might do 2 miles aerobic, 3 miles at marathon pace, 3 miles at aerobic pace, 3 miles back up at the marathon pace and back down. If it's really hot out and I have this situation happening with the client who's on this call, we're going to talk about it. Like we know each other. I know him. There might be we're far out. Maybe this opportunity to like use the pace calculator, heat pace calculator, adjust back a little bit and like just run that kind of feel and effort. Okay. Or we just run smaller chunks at the actual velocity, knowing that the effort's going to be up a little bit, but we'll back off a little bit more in between. So this becomes the art of the coaching, right? And the execution. And I think that's the most important thing, is like being flexible. When we say it's on the fucking piece of paper, it's in the app, I'm doing it. Those don't go well on weeks like this. And then how does that influence your confidence? You think you're going to nail it when it's super hot out? And what happens if you don't hit the paces? Oh my God, right? Oh my Lord. What's up? We got a bunch of new people on here. Depressing if you live in Florida, our numbers equal running on the surface of hell. Yes. Yeah, they do. I mean, what was it? What was it today? 95 and something? I'm spilling wine. Oh boy. I haven't even finished half a thing of it. Making a mess. I need to get a bigger desk. I'm ordering one this week. I don't give a shit. I need one of these like big ones. Like if I showed you what my desk looked like, I think you guys would judge me. Yeah. All right. So yeah, Adam, 8-minute pace, 95 and 77. Yeah. That would be 48 seconds a mile slower. So if you, instead of running 8-minute pace, if you ran 8:48 outside, it would feel like 8. But I think this pace calculator, honestly, when it's starting to get hotter, I think it's like, I even think it's a little it's a little too aggressive, conservative. Like I would adjust more. But anyway, yeah, party foul. Just means I need to pour more in. Boop. I do little pours. I like my little pours. Christy, this is from Rob. He even wrote in the card for me for my birthday that how to pronounce it. Because Shalabis is not how you say it. Chablis. I can't believe I never heard of this. I mean, there's so many wines I haven't heard of, so I shouldn't be that surprised. And sorry, Team Wilpers. Headband. Now smells like wine. Anyway, I'm actually really excited to get a new desk, and I'm going to get a standing desk. Oh, geez. You guys are getting such bad weather. All right, go hunker down. That's scary. You're here to help. All right. Hopefully you're okay. I had a client who had a tornado rip through her town. Her house was okay, but all her neighbors got wiped. Mariana, what are you training for if you're still here? What's your what's your next journey with Coach Ferry? What are you guys doing? And if it's not a race, that's okay too, but you're always jumping in races. Rob's got, oh, okay. Awesome. How many times have you run New York City? It's got to be like the boy who cried wolf, like these sirens going off. Number 6. Can I ask you what your goal is? What's your main goal? What's your vision? What's on your vision board for this one? And it doesn't have to be time related. I'm trying to get more people to focus more on the process. What's up, Karina? Ooh, back to triathlon. I think marathons are like such an amazing challenge, and I really think triathlon they're definitely challenging in different ways because so many moving pieces, but they have, I think it's a healthier way of training. too many of my runner friends who are in their 60s are just beat up, like backs, hips. Let's get riding and swimming. I actually haven't been in open water yet, which maybe I'll go with my wife. We'll go paddleboard. I could swim around, but I think we had some algae and stuff early on. How's the golf games going? How you hitting them? You know, I thought I was going to play a ton with my wife this year, and we just have not been out. The only time I've been out was when I play with you. I got to get out more. I've been riding my bike a lot, but I'm ready to kind of, with the heat, I'm ready to tune down and go hit some golf balls, ride around in the golf court, and drink some beers. I sound crazy. Oh, so you might be guiding. All right. Enjoy it in a new way, but I'm ready to get back in the water and the bike. I wouldn't have survived the 2 hour on Saturday. Oh, come on. You'd be fine. My first Peloton studio class was next to you. I tell everyone, because I don't have a Peloton, I was like, who is this lady? I do not want to sweat all over her, because it was in February. I was a little like just getting over being sick, and it was so hot in there. I was dripping in the warm up, and I'm like, and then you introduce yourself, and I was like, I hope I didn't sweat on you. Yeah, it's a busy, we got hobbies, right? I haven't fly fished this year, which is not, now is not the time. Been driving the Miata a little bit. No golf, not much golf. Been riding a bunch. Haven't swam. Yeah, that was a 2 hour class. I feel like I've only done his 2 hour classes. I'd like something shorter. I gotta come for not a 2 hour class. That was a 2 hour class. Yeah. So what little tweaks do you need to make, Karina? Karina. Oh, what was the best part? The best part, honestly, was getting to see my clients interact with each other. The fact that, like, they all, like, I got to bring them together. I really enjoy that, and just spending quality time with my clients, like, just having those little conversations with them. Like, one, Jillian, like, I've been coaching for over 3 years, and we have not met yet. So that was the first time. So it was awesome to get to, like, spend a little bit more time with her. And it's cool seeing them, like, connect. And it's like starting to hear them talk about things, and, maybe something they were struggling with that we've had conversations with, like, give advice, a little bit of how they work through things. So that was really cool. So just amount of love, appreciation, and for people to come, and it was Team Wilpers weekend, so I didn't, like, want to overshadow that by any means. But I think that was the best part, is, like, getting everyone together. Like, I love, like, sitting down at a table, everyone being able to mix it up with people, have a drink, and eat some good food. So that was a great part. The t-shirts, I'm famous now. I feel like I've made it in life that I'm on a t-shirt. Hopefully that's the last time I'm on a shirt. So to see Matt come out, and it was like, oh man, I was like, oh. Everyone's like, who's this guy? I don't know how you guys are on camera all the time. So many people. Oh, Julian's still here. Yeah. Yeah. Face to face. Connect more with my community. Amazing weekend. We need more of these. Let me know if we're planning a DC meetup too. Yeah, I gotta come down. I've never been to DC. I gotta come down. Yeah. You'll be huge in Rwanda. Yeah. When my friend goes back to Uganda, he'll just see my face running around. How many were made? So a bunch of my clients, some other people were DMing me, where do I get a t-shirt? Like multiple people. I'm like, can we not have those ones go out more? I don't know if I don't think it's me, but I do have a lot, like as I like close my eyes and think of all my clients, like everyone are just such sweet people. Um, to see their growth and to see like what they were worried about when we first started working together, and through lots of discussions, sometimes putting my foot down, hey, cut the shit, dust it off. I'm not we're not changing anything. Let's just stick to the plan. Or hey, let's be flexible. Let's not be so rigid. So to see them grow is amazing, right? And you do this with your crew, right? The people that you see and connect with. And I think that's just such a big part of it. As I tell people, this is not about the money. This is, can I make an impact in your life? If I can't, I'm not ditching you, but we need to figure out. I got one client right now that I gotta have a talk with. Speaking of which, I need to text them. All right, crew. I gotta get offline. Appreciate you engaging. So sweet of you that were there or any part of my birthday this past weekend. Meant a ton. Summer training. Don't judge your runs or your sessions based on the output of the numbers. Think about how it feels for you, your RPE. Look at heart rate. All right. Use the heat pace calculator on my website, jharriscoaching.fit. I had .com. I let it go. And I think Wix or WordPress, I think they just fucking hide them and don't let you get them again. It's annoying. I got to figure out how to get the .com. Anyway, I digress. If you haven't signed up for the newsletter and you're still here, when you get off, go to my profile, go in my bio. You'll be able to go to my website and sign up for it. Free. Comes out twice a month. Tomorrow, I got to finish it. And down the road, I'm going to be trying to give do some more things on the newsletter that I don't do here and I don't do anywhere else. So I have some ideas in the future. So be a part of it. It's cool. Oh, thanks, Karina. Yeah, those t-shirts were. I'm so happy that they picked a decent photo. Laurel, one of our coaches and our social media director, is a fantastic photographer, and I don't just say that. She's so good at like producing photo shoots and getting us together. We've hired some other people and had other people come in, or I've worked with other people, and there's only a few that just like they can command, hey, I need you to do this, need you to do that. So, yeah, I've had other people do stuff with and just try to like make the worst photos, which it's all in good fun. I can take some humor. So anyway, I appreciate y'all. We're gonna bounce. All right, YouTube peeps, see you later. Facebook peeps, see you later. We'll talk to you next Monday. Adios.